Today, I'm going to be replacing the fuel pump on my 1993 Jeep Wrangler. The other day we were driving, or actually just tried to start it and it died. Would not start again. So the first thing we did was we checked the fuel pressure. So to do that, we have a fuel pressure tool. So that will read the pressure, fuel pressure, right? Whole name of it. So what happens is here's the fuel rail for this. I've got the inline 6 4-cylinder. So if you look back right there, that is the Schrader valve. What did I say?
4-cylinder.
Oh, 6-cylinder, 4 liter.
Yep.
So what we do is we screw that onto the Schrader valve. And then once you get that screwed on, then you try to start the Jeep, which I'm not going to do because we already know it's not working. But you measure the PSI. PSI should be around 30 to 35 pounds. And when I started it, I don't even think it got up to 10. So that tells me immediately that there's just not enough fuel pressure to get the Jeep going. So what we're going to do is we're going to replace the fuel pump, which happens to be in the fuel tank of the Jeep, which is not perfect, but that's the way it is. And so what we've done right now is went ahead and siphoned the fuel, and then you can see up in here, I've taken off right here. This is the filler hose that's not there right now, right? That's the fill, and that hose is the vent. So we've taken that off to siphon the fuel out. We're gonna take the vent hose off, and then I've got a skid plate for the tank right here. What we'll do is undo the bolt, undo this bolt, and undo in the back. There's 1, 2, 3 bolts in the back. One right there, holding it across to hold the skid plate on. Going to lower the skid plate, and then there's straps holding the fuel tank up. And so we'll take these bolts off, and this will help lower the tank down. And once we lower the tank, we'll take the top off where the fuel pump is, and then we'll put the new one in and replace it. So we'll show those steps along the way. But the first thing I'm going to do is remove the skid plate to get access to the fuel tank.
Right, so I'm doing the bolts that hold on the skid. What size socket is that?
1/2 inch.
1/2 inch. This is the aftermarket skid, so yours could look different. I have the video upside down. We're going to professional. So undo those, and we'll get to the front. Undo the front. Put some jack stands underneath it. Flip this. You can see up in front, so back. On the side.
That's right.
There's your bolts right up in there. There's multiple. So you've got one there. There's the other one.
I'm gonna have to use I need a long socket.
And then he's got one on the other side. So we'll get the other tools. Drop this. So got the skid plate pulled on.
Need to pull this hose off. That's the breather hose.
Pull the breather off so we can get ready to drop the tank. Can't really see it from over here. Can't see it from under there. Yep, we're gonna pull the unit out. So this right here is a breather hose. We just pulled off the top of the tank, which you can see right there. So that way we can drop the tank out.
All right, we've got the fuel tank down on a couple jack stands. So we have room to work in here. And you can see there's 8 bolts holding, the fuel pump is in here. So there's 8 of these bolts on here, and they're 5/16. So you undo all these and you lift this up. We had to take the fuel supply return lines off, and we marked them. One with the blue is the forward one. And there is, where's that? Right there. There's the vent tube, and then you see it, there's another vent tube, and they attach right here. That's rather short, and then it comes over to this one, which is a little bit longer, but you can't drop it all the way down. This one will come off. This won't come off right away. And then obviously you've got the electrical connection for the fuel pump. So that's why you got to take these off. So we're going to take these off and take it out, and then I'm going to lower and get the fuel tank out of the way. And then once I do that, we'll show where the fuel pump is inside the tank.
And today's safe work area is brought to you by Classic Frame Guns with some metal in the slide. One has a 43 on it, one has a 27 on it. 40 caliber 9mm. Make sure we're safe. We're working on our junk. Action.
All right, so this is what resides in the fuel tank. You've got your inlet and your return line, or your return line and your outgoing line for the fuel. It comes down and in to the fuel pump. As you can see, I've already kind of dismantled it just so I could show. So here's the pump. Actually, the pump, this is what we're going to replace. You can see this fuel line. Actually, I was looking at it. Always inspect your stuff. This has a crack in it, and actually fuel's leaking out. I don't think that's the problem, but it certainly isn't helping. Then you undo your ground and your positive. Up here, you take these lines off. This cap, bend it away, pull it out. You'll need these O-rings. And then here's your fuel pump. So this one is probably 8 years old. Probably should have lasted a little bit longer than that, but that's all right.
And it's not a cheap one.
No, Carter, nice solid. I think this was about 60 bucks. The new one I have coming is, I think it's a Bosch, about the same price. I got it on Amazon. It won't be here today. It should have been here a couple days ago, but due to the inclement weather everybody's seeing, it's not going to be here in time. So what we'll do is just keep the Jeep apart, and when it gets here, we'll put it all back together. And then this will go back into the fuel tank this way. Here's your float. This tells you when it's full and when it's empty.
One of the things we did when we pulled off the outgoing line and the return line was we took this line off the front here, or towards the back, I guess, and we put blue tape on it, so we knew that where that line was off the two we took off.
Yep.
And as you can tell, we keep it tidy when we work because we're professionals around here.
That's right. That's right, by golly. So
There you go. And that,
this goes on to the, back over here.
hey, over here.
This is your strainer, goes onto the bottom of the fuel pump, strains to help keep all the dirt and grime that eventually gets in your fuel tank, helps keep it out of your fuel line and going into your engine. So most of the time you need to replace this. This actually looks pretty good. There's no tears in it, there's no holes. I checked on it. And so it's in good shape, and this just slides on the bottom, and then I tighten it up with the bracket. Didn't come with it, but I tightened it just to make sure it's on there so it doesn't fall off. But other than that, we're good to go when we get the new one.
Cooking with fire.
All right, I'm actually a couple days later because the pump finally came in. So here's the pump that I had, Carter. Decent pump, it lasted for, I don't know, 10 years or something like that, right? And here's the new pump that I got, a Bosch. So off the bat, see my concern? It's quite a bit smaller than the Carter. The connection, right, is quite a bit different. However, I will say that after doing some research, this will work. So a couple things that I have to do, and some things that it came with. Number one, here's the bottom part that goes in to the cradle of the sending unit, right? So it'll sit in here. It'll sit nicely in there. No big deal. This I thought was going to be an issue, right? So if you can see, there's blades, and before I screwed it down and on. So the screw is pretty solid. That's a good fit if you're out cruising around off-roading like I was. I don't do that much anymore just because of where we live. But came with a harness. So this side, the blades plug in, they snap into the pump, and then on this side there's blades. So upon further investigation, here's the positive wire. So that's where it would screw on, but you notice it's just a blade that's in the male end. So there, and there it is. So this will adapt easily to the plug, and the same goes with the, oh, it actually just fell out. So there's the negative, right, or the ground. So that'll fit on there as well. And then came with a new ring to go around it. This piece goes over the top of the pump, right, and secures, and this end screws into this bracket right here, and you can see it's notched, so you can, and it has a groove so you can adapt different size pumps. The one I had was a clear at the top, and this one is probably going to be clear at the bottom. The only thing I have to do to this piece is these two ends butt up against the round plastic, so I'm going to snip off or bend up just the corner of this so it'll fit snugly around it. So once I get that done, and you do notice I took off the whole sending unit, it just unplugs, and I figured that's going to make it easier to get everything put back together. And then I can just plug it back in, and let's see if you can, up there, right there, it'll plug in right there, and then I'll hook up all the lines, get the tank up, secure it, and we should be good to go. Shouldn't take long. It's a nice night, so I'm gonna jump into it. Oh, here's the hose. I'll have to cut this to size so that it fits between this part of the sending unit and the filter. So I'll just cut off the end of that, and it'll snug up there nice and neat. And that's about it. So I'll get back to you here in just a couple minutes. All right, so here's what I've done. So I used the old, it's hard to see, sorry. Used the old gaskets and the new gaskets, because the pump, when I fitted it in the seat here and screwed it in to here, it was still a little too loose for comfort. And then also you can see I got a little crazy, did a zip tie to hold the filter on because it was kind of slipping off a little bit. So I just zip tied it around to hold it on to make sure it stayed. This is all nice and snug, so it, you know, it moves around a little tiny bit, but nothing that's going to cause any issues or any problems inside the tank. So that's kind of, just wanted to give an update of what I was doing. Oh, and I wanted to move it out of the way so that the float, so it wasn't hitting the float. It has a tab on it that should fit in there, but I was concerned it was going to hit the float. I don't know. I still might mess with it and see, but I think the zip tie kind of put it in its place as well. And actually looking at it, the zip tie is not going to hold right there, so I'll redo that as well. To wrap up the fuel pump install, I got it installed, and the Jeep still wouldn't start. I saw a fuel leak in the first injector, so I thought that might be the problem, and then it just turned into a myriad of different issues, and I will go into that on another video. But the install was successful of the fuel pump. Spoiler alert, I got it running, and it's running absolutely perfect right now. So with that said, I just wanted to put the final touches on it. The fuel pump was good, or actually was bad, and the new one works out perfectly. Everything got installed properly, and she's good to go. So look forward to the next video. Thanks.